Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the afternoon. Joining me today, who else? It's Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. What's going on today, Chuck?
How's it going, Bill? Getting close to the end of the week?
We are. It's a happy Thursday out there here, May the 8th. And, we're going to continue breaking down prospects that could be available at 6 each day until we run out of guys. I feel like
you're gonna make me go because
at a much faster pace.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's that I'm on a totally different wavelength right now in terms of my research. Like all these guys, the last time I watched serious tape on these guys was like March. Now I'm watching tape on the guys in the 20s, and by the time you get to them, I'm going to have to rewatch all that tape again because then it's like, well, now we got to talk about the late first round pick. Like I'm going to have to go back and rewatch tape this weekend on guys like Desnoyers and guys like Martone because I haven't watched them in so long because my focus now has been on guys like Braden Coots, guys that might be taken in the teens and the 20s because I've already gotten my info on these guys. And now it's like, oh, I got to dig back in my memory and be like, what were my thoughts on these guys back in March?
I love the idea of a guy named Braden Coots. Just it's 2012 all over again, except it's one dude.
I will say, I like Braden Coots. I like what I say.
All right. But today it's going to be Anton Frondell, who Charlie mocked at number 5 to Nashville, 1 pick ahead of the Flyers in his first mock draft. And honestly, if I had started my research a little sooner, maybe we could have done yesterday because yesterday was actually his 18th birthday.
Happy birthday, Anton Frondell.
To Anton Frondell. But we are going to start in last night's playoff action, some Stanley Cup stuff here. Just because I got to say I'm very proud of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Listen, it's 2-0. They won their home games. I do not think this series is over by any means. But when this started, Charlie, you were kind of giving me a hard time. Like, you just think that the Panthers are this unbeatable juggernaut. I was like, I just don't know if the Leafs are the team that can stand up to them. Mm-hmm. And so far, so good. And what I was really, really happy to see last night out of the Leafs, it was our guy, Scott Laughton. The Florida Panthers play a style that I appreciate, but honestly, they're a dirty freaking team.
They are.
They're a dirty team, and they're going to push you around and say, go ahead and push back. We dare you. And the Leafs haven't backed down, and I think there's a big part of that in their addition of Scott Laughton. He throws a questionable hit from behind on Evan Rodriguez last night. Things kind of pop off. And while, you don't want to see, dangerous plays, blah, blah, blah. This is the playoffs, and these are the rules that the Panthers have kind of established. This is the way it's going to go. Play this way, or we're going to injure all your guys.
Right.
And I like that they didn't spend a lot of the game just chasing Sam Bennett around. It was, we're going to play, and it starts with your best players being good, right? None of it matters if their best players aren't their best players because that's the Leafs. This is what they're built to do. These guys have to score a ton. And they've been. And that's why they're up 2-0 in the second round.
Yeah.
For the first time, I don't know, since color TV was invented. And I'm just happy to see that they're not backing down. And while it's dumb, I think Scott Laughton has had a hand in kind of their attitude switch. Craig Berube from the start has been we are going to be a different team mentality-wise because it does feel as if the team most responsible for the Leafs' failures over the last few years is the Leafs.
Yeah.
They just have this, so there's just
a mental block of sorts.
Something goes wrong and it snowballs. We talked about that with the Flyers for years. One thing going wrong turns into 8, and then suddenly they're on a 10-game losing streak. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the Leafs' mentality. Obviously better team, but I just like what I'm seeing out of a team that I thought might get pushed around in this series. Like, yeah, Stolarz takes an elbow to the head. He's out. How are they going to respond? They respond by scoring a bunch of goals. And yeah, we're not just going to, oh yeah, they're beating us up, we're going to complain to the refs. Like, no, every now and then throw a shot of your own, because that's the way the Stanley Cup playoffs are played.
Yeah, I mean, I think where I'm at with this series is that I'm very much not yet ready to say that like everything is fixed. Toronto's got the series in the bag. Like,
it's not over.
Yeah, they're up 2-0, so obviously they are now the favorite. They've earned the right to be considered the favorite. That said, both these games were in Toronto, so we're talking about like they've held home ice, and that's big.
Yeah,
but would it shock anyone if Florida rolls off 4 straight? No, I don't think so. I'm not calling the series over. I do think Toronto they've definitely adjusted their style. They are not as high-flying of a team as they used to be. They play more of a dump and chase style. They also get outshot, which like I don't think is good, but the goaltending has been better. And last night the big thing was Wall. Like, you were really worried that without Stolarz that the Leafs would be in trouble, because Stolarz has been so good all year. Well, Joseph Wall was solid. I wouldn't say he was incredible, but he made some monster saves. He made that one huge diving save. I forget who it was, like a lunging save on like what was essentially a 3-on-2 passing play that was at a key moment. So he was good. They're getting the goaltending. They're largely healthy, although I think Toronto fans are wondering if Matthews might be playing with something, because the argument I see on Twitter a lot is that his shot just isn't what it usually is, that he doesn't look fully healthy, even though he is playing good overall hockey. He just doesn't look as dangerous as he usually does. So I'm sure that the Berube effect is having a bit of a role, but I also just think that like it's the playoffs, and I know when most people say it's the playoffs, it's like, oh, well, you got to play a certain way. Like, when I say it's the playoffs, in a lot of ways, I just mean like, I don't know, it's a small sample size. They were probably due to have a run where some things broke their way occasionally. Yeah. And so far, at least, things are breaking their way. Doesn't mean they're going to continue to break their way. But right now, they largely are. They're getting saves at key moments. They're making big plays. And look, I am a big Scott Laughton fan, so I'd love to be like, yeah, what Laughton is doing is the reason why they're winning. No. I think Laughton was actively bad in game 1. In game 2, he was good. And that's great. And like, when you're the 9th or 10th best forward on a team, you can get by if your 9th or 10th best forward has a bad game in game 1. If he only has an impact in 4 out of the 7 games, well, you know what? He's your 10th best forward. Who cares? And in those games, if he pushes you to a win, then you're getting something good out of him. So I don't think Laughton's been bad, but I don't want to present it as like, I think Scott Laughton was the secret sauce missing to have them be able to beat the Panthers.
No, that's insane. I am happy to see this thing that I wasn't sure going to happen. And I think Laughton is a part of it, and it's more mentality than it is like on ice results. Yeah. I just love that they decided, like, Scott Laughton throws that hit last night, and it's screw you. We're going to do it too. We're absolutely going to do it too. And
Laughton does bring that to the table, to be sure.
And I love that the refs called Rodriguez for embellishment. Like,
that was funny.
That's like,
you almost wonder.
Got him straight in the numbers.
You almost wonder if that was a little bit of like, you know, it being in the refs' heads that they miss the Stolarz call, like that, because obviously part of a playoff series is working the refs.
Of course.
Is the in-between games, you know, trying to get in their heads, get in the officials' heads that like, well, you screwed us over, so maybe cut us a little slack the next game. And perhaps that played at least a little bit into the assumption that like, well, obviously that was embellishment, when if you really look at the play, like at the very least, I don't think he should have been thrown out of the game, but at the very least it's boarding.
Yeah, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think he got called for that. The box score has him with a double minor for roughing for the scrum after.
For the scrum after,
like,
right.
So anyway, like when we say it's not over, I just opened up the series odds. Like just for reference here, Dallas is up 1-0 in that series. They're minus 360, huge favorites. Mm-hmm. Carolina's up 1-0 in their series with Washington. They're minus 500, huge favorites. Toronto has a 2-0 lead. They're only minus 220, because the first thing I looked at last night when this ended was, what can I get Florida at? Like, I don't know. Yeah, they're up 2-0, but it's the Panthers. Like, one loss and Toronto might turn back into a pumpkin, do their whole collapse thing. Toronto's minus 220. Florida is plus 180 to make the comeback. Like, they're down 2-0 and you can't even get 2-1 on them. Not many people are like, oh yeah, it's over. So
here's my question for you, because this is something that always bothers me about the playoffs, and I love the playoffs. I love the playoffs. What I don't love are the narratives around the playoffs.
It's the best part.
What I don't love is the narratives around the playoffs, because I feel like everyone just kind of shapes what they want hockey. They watch the game and then they interpret the game based on the way they wish hockey was or the way they want hockey to be. But you've been a big proponent of the idea that, like, Florida plays a playoff style and they're built for the playoffs and they're big and they're tough. They're down 2-0. If they lose this series, is your takeaway, well, maybe I overstated just how important that is, or is your takeaway, the Leafs won because they played like the Panthers, and that's how you win in playoff hockey?
No, I think one, the Maple Leafs have serially underachieved the entire tenure of this, big three, big four. Now they're calling it the core five with Nyes. Like, this entire tenure, basically since they got Tavares and turned it into a big four. Now, that said, like, teams also need to mature. I say all the time, like, it's very rare young teams win. Even the teams with the most talent, like, it takes a while. You have to build up, and maybe the Leafs had to learn all these lessons. But I'm gonna say, like Mitch Marner, Willie Nylander, like, these guys are playing the way they're supposed to play in the playoffs. And if that happens, they have a really good chance of winning. Because, like, the reason we think they've underachieved all this time is because we watched them in the regular season and go, this is a great team.
Yeah.
What is the matter with them in the playoffs? I think it's more just like it was a series between two really good teams and 1-1. You look at Florida, and I do think it's weird. Like, they've won one cup, which is huge. Like, I would do anything for the Flyers to win a cup. But, like, they've been to two, and it just kind of feels like they've been doing this for a longer time than it's been, with 2 years going back to back.
Well, and then the year before that, they won the President's Trophy.
Yes.
Now, they didn't go far, but it does feel like this is like the era of the Panthers, even though they've only won one cup.
They've won the one. Like, they win the President's Trophy, and then it's like, those playoffs were not good. And that's kind of when they reshape things, and we go from there. But, like, maybe they have just played a ton of hockey, like, it eventually ends. We talked about the Tampa run, and it's like, that's so rare. And you can look at circumstances and go, it's only possible because between the regular season and playoffs, there was months off and then a shorter season the next year. And they didn't have to do it until year 3, in which they eventually lost, like, maybe they just have played a ton of hockey, and maybe the Leafs are really freaking good. I think it's just a series between two teams. I will say it's important, for the Leafs to stand up to them and not just take it, because you're gonna get killed.
Yeah, that's true.
But, like, it's not so much that, Craig Berube turned them all into a bunch of rough and tumble men, made a man. Like, it's
which
just
absolutely will be the narrative if they win this series.
100%. If Craig Berube wins this series, it's like he's the best coach in hockey. Yeah. 100%,
and
not a question.
I think Craig Berube's a good coach. I do.
Clearly, he's a good coach.
And I also think it may be possible that Sheldon Keefe might be an overrated coach.
Might not be very good.
That's very possible.
There's a really good chance he's not very good. Yeah. Kind of looks like it. But, yeah, that's that series. And once again, I'd like to withdraw my statement that all teams equally benefited from the Mikko Rantanen trade.
He's doing it again.
You know what's crazy is how, like, this scoring run, every playoffs we see a guy just kind of go nuts. Sometimes it's a star. Sometimes it's a guy out of nowhere. Like, oh, my God, RJ Umberger? Really? He's, like, the man?
Yeah, he was for a series.
Yeah, he
Montreal.
He had a couple of playoff series where he ruled. But, like, Mikko Rantanen, obviously a star player. All sorts of crazy stuff happened to him this year. And it was starting to be like, is he? Obviously, he's good. I don't think anyone was like, oh, it was all fake. But, like, is he a superstar without Nathan MacKinnon?
Yeah, he is.
And it turns out he really is.
He really is. And in fairness, like, look, he's playing great hockey. he's also getting lucky. Like the goal he scored on the hat trick was an attempted pass that bounces off a guy's leg and goes in. And like that's
hockey. That's why I say it's pinball.
That's what happens when everything's going your way. Like he probably gets an assist on that play anyway, because it's probably then goes right to Hintz, and then he puts it in. But things are breaking Rantanen's way in a way that they weren't for like a good 2-month period. Like when he was with the Canes, it's worth noting, and it's clear in retrospect he really never wanted to be there anyway. But even there, his underlying numbers were through the roof. Like the Canes were collecting like 62% of the expected goals at 5-on-5 when Rantanen was on the ice. He just wasn't finishing. And at some point, an elite finisher is going to start finishing, and it's just like, sorry, Colorado and Winnipeg, it's all happening right now.
Have you ever seen anything like a guy doing all of his damage in one, like having huge games all in a row, but it all seems to happen in one period? Like it's just one of those things. Like what do you mean he had another hat trick in just one period? Why? Like how is this even a possibility? But I guess it just what happens when you're rolling. You just have a certain, like you get really rolling in a certain matchup or whatever it is, and you're just feeling it. And that's what's going on with Mikko. But Dallas is up 1-0 in that series.
I think the best thing that happened in game one for Winnipeg, though, is that Hellebuyck looks much more like Hellebuyck. Now, I wouldn't say he was perfect, but he definitely looks more like himself. And if he can continue that, then I think Dallas is the better team, especially they got Robertson back in game one. They should be getting Heiskanen back at some point in the series, especially when they're at full strength. I think they are the better team than Winnipeg. But having probably maybe the best goalie in the league, again, playing like the best goalie in the league, that gives Winnipeg a chance easily to overcome the fact that I think Dallas is the better all-around team.
I know, like you just said, narratives, playoffs, all that. Is there something to, like, at a certain point with Hellebuyck, isn't it just like, yeah, for some reason, he's just not a playoff guy? Like, could you ever get there?
I mean, I could, but I think, like, okay, here's the thing with Connor Hellebuyck that is worth discussing. And it goes into a little bit of, like, the Claude Giroux stuff.
Yeah.
He hasn't always been bad in the playoffs. He really hasn't. Yeah. If you look at his numbers, okay, his very first season in the playoffs at age 24, he throws up a .922 save percentage in 17 games. Next playoff run, 6 games, .913. Next playoff run, they lose. They lose a series. I think they lose in 5. At age 26, .904. Next series, 8 games, .931. So through age 27, he was a good playoff goalie. He was. It's been these last 3. And, like, it's hard for me to be like if from the start of his career he was bad, I would be like, yeah, maybe he is just a bad playoff goalie. First 4 years first 4 playoff runs he was in, .921 save percentage combined. Then he was bad in 22, 2023, .886. Real bad last season, .864, and they lost in 5 games in a series I think most people thought they would win. They were probably the favorites in that series, I would say, at least by record. And then the first 6 1/3 games of the first round this year, he was also real bad. I honestly, and Hellebuyck kind of spoke to this, I believe. I don't remember if it was before Game 7 or if it was after Game 7. He did a pretty revealing interview, and he more or less just said, like, I think I'm just stuck in my own head. Like, I'm so frustrated that I'm not playing well in the playoffs that now I just can't, like, break out of this, like, I have to show I can be good in the playoffs. So I don't know if it's he's just bad in the playoffs, and more it's like, he had a bad playoff series and now it's spiraling. And I think if he can pull himself out of his spiral, which he may be in the process of doing, I mean, it helps when you win in overtime in a game 7, to be sure. That definitely is a confidence booster for you. If he can do that, I think he can get back to being the guy who was real good his first 4 playoff runs.
I'm so excited for this. All right, before we go any further, we have to take a quick break to tell you about a couple of our sponsors. Oh, we have a brand new partner here at PHLY, and it's Mando, baby. What is Mando? Mando is a full body deodorant, and when I say full body, I mean full body. Charlie, did you know 12 hours after a shower, the average man's Grundle odor level was a 5 out of 10.
I had no idea.
With Mando, the average Grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10.
Incredible.
Mando is a paraben-free, baking soda-free, full-body deodorant that comes in a variety of styles, whether you like roll-on, whether you like spray. They even have wipes, all sorts of creams. Mando has everything to help you get through summer. You know, it's sweating season. I think a lot of the big guys out there, you know, maybe like me, you could use a little help getting through the day body odor free, whether it's, you know, maybe your thigh folds or under your stomach, maybe your nether regions, whatever it is, you got to use Mando. And we'll be telling you plenty more about all of the products in the weeks and months to come. But right now, you got to check out Mando's starter pack. It's perfect for new customers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes, plus free shipping. And as a special offer for listeners, new customers now get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code PHLY at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Oh, man, if I ever tell you that my job is hard, just... that would be a great... You're
really doubling down on the puns here.
I was about to say that would be a great, but we don't have set up for another read, but we don't have them anymore.
Nope.
All right, let's get to something a little more professional. 1-800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
I've been telling you about Empire for weeks now, and what makes Empire great, it's that they have flooring experts. They have dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. They live and breathe flooring, and they're with you every step of the way. That's why with Empire, it's a whole different ballgame, and their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. No need to go to the big box store, figure everything out yourself, take the measurements, go get all of the products, and then if you figure, oh, maybe I can't do this myself, now I have to hire a contractor. That's not the case with Empire. You can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space, in your space. See how it all looks up against your furniture, in your house, against your paint colors, whatever it might be, and get the precise measurements taken and have all your questions answered so there are no surprises. And with Empire today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. You heard that right, a $350 discount with code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/PHLY for details. Did you ever think you'd be asked a question about Grundle odor level?
No.
On the hockey show?
No.
Okay.
Definitely not.
All right. I
wouldn't have bet on that. I don't think it would have been on Bet365's odds list.
All right. With that, we now move on to some of the draft talk. Of course, the Flyers lose the lottery a couple days ago, end up at number 6. And today, Scott Wheeler over at The Athletic mocks Brady Martin to the Flyers in his first mock draft. Charlie, this is just okay. Do you think this is based on connecting because this is the read up? I said, and this is no knock on the writing itself. Mm-hmm. But I said before we went live, when you told me this happened, I tried to open up The Athletic, checked it out. And AI could have composed this explanation. And again, not a knock on the writing itself, just like, he Flyer. It was very fair. Like, it could have literally said, he Flyer. That's what it seemed like.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, if other centers fall, maybe they're there, but he has like Frondell going 3. He has Hagens off the board. Right. I think Desnoyers off the board.
He does say, and this was actually the thing that maybe made me feel the best personally, was If Hagens or Denoy were to be there, I'd expect the pick to be one of them. I mean, since I personally like both of them more than Brady Martin, I'm like, okay, well, I just got to hope that one of those two guys are there. Interesting he didn't say Frondell. That was interesting to me. But he does say, I think it'll be Martin, a classic Flyer in the truest sense, with real upside and a one-of-one makeup as a competitor. That is, all this is true.
It's great.
Like, I believe it was Cam Robinson, who I don't think we've ever had on the show. We probably should.
Oh, we definitely should.
Because I'm friends with him. I hung out with him at last year's draft.
Oh, hell yeah.
He's a great guy. He tweeted out a few weeks ago that, like, Brady Martin isn't just the best body checker in this draft. If he jumped to the NHL today, he would be one of the best body checkers in the NHL.
Love it.
Like, this is all real. These are real things that he is good at. And again, I've said I will reserve final judgment on Brady Martin until I can watch his play in the under 18s, because supposedly he showed a lot. He was one of their better players, and perhaps my concerns about him will be eased when I watch him play with better players, because the Sioux this year, which is who he plays for, not very good. So maybe having him with better players will make him look better to my eyes. My big concerns, and this is in my mind, I think this is a lot more stylistic than anything. Like, look, I'm not a scout, but I absolutely have things that I like in players and don't like in players. I don't like, at least from what I saw when I watched, I don't like his hockey IQ. I do not think he strikes me as a terribly smart player. Not in the sense that he's like Ristolainen and he's just running around hitting people and that's all he thinks about. But like, when I watched him, I don't know if he's a center. Like, my view of him was, if he's a center, I think I would project him. And again, this is based on limited viewing. I certainly have not watched him as much as scouts have. My impression based on limited viewing was he looks like a 3C. If you move him to wing, I think he could be a top 6 wing. He could be a wrecking ball of a top 6 wing, because I think his game might actually fit that better. But if you're trying to come out of this draft with a 1C, which is sort of my hope, that's why I'm like, ugh. To me, Brady Martin is the guy you take when you have the top guys already. And then it's like, yeah, let's get that second tier guy who can be the tough to play against. Like, man, he's annoying as hell. He hits. He's great in the playoffs. But for me, it's a little bit of like, you're putting the cart before the horse here. Like, let's get the skill guys and then get our Sam Bennett to play under the skill guys.
Yeah, that's and I haven't really dove into Brady Martin. And before we went live, it's like, Charlie, just humor me. When I do watch this guy, am I going to love him?
Yes.
And Charlie goes, yes,
100%
absolutely.
You'll love him. Yeah.
I want these kinds of dudes.
Yeah.
100%. That said, the Flyers' biggest problem right now is a lack of high-end guys. They need the other thing too. Don't get me wrong. And I want that thing. But drafting at 6, I want the potential for a 50-goal scorer, a point per game guy. Like, I want crazy good players, and then we fill in the rest with those types of guys. Yes, Florida is great because they play this way. Also, their 1C is going to win 2 out of every 3 Selkies for the rest of his career, and that's a lot just how the Selkie works. But it's his award. You have to be better than him to win it, basically, or perceived to be at least. Like, they have all these other dudes who are awesome, and a lot of them, like, Aaron Ekblad. Yeah, man, I'm really good, and I'm going to throw forearm shivers, and if I get suspended, I get suspended. Whatever.
And like, that's the thing. Like,
that's good, but you have to be awesome, too.
Yeah, like, Sam Bennett is a guy who every team in the league wants. Yeah. He's tough to play against. He's a tiny, well, not even tiny. He's a ball of hate. Like, he's an agitator, but he scores. He can play in your top 6. That's great. Everybody wants a Sam Bennett, but like, we've seen what Sam Bennett is when he's asked to be like one of the best players on a team, and it was thoroughly underwhelming in Calgary. When he's asked to be part of the second wave behind Barkov and Reinert and Verhaeghe to an extent, especially in the playoffs, then he's perfect. And like, if they were to get Brady Martin, I think fans will love him. I just don't think that, like, I think he's the guy you get later, not the guy you get now when you're trying to build the foundation of, like, you have your 2, 3, 4 studs who can drive the offense. I don't see an offense driver in him. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe that'll change when I watch him more, but so far, I don't see an offense driver in Brady Martin. I see a guy that, like, will get a bit overdrafted because people are like, I want that guy on my team. And, like, I get it, but I'd rather have a guy who can score 80 points a year.
Yeah, like he's 5th on the Panthers in scoring this past season. That's great. But like the Flyers don't have the 81-point 39-goal, 81-point Sam Reinhart. They don't have the 71-point over 20-minute a game Alex Barkov, Sasha Barkov. Like, you need those things too. And drafting at 6 is their best chance to get them. You might be able to find your Mike Richards type around the area Mike Richards was drafted. You know, they took Jeff Carter first, like, you know, because he scored a bunch of goals and was probably going to score a bunch more goals, and he did. And then they got Richards later because while he was great, he didn't have the upside of 40 goals. Like, that's just what I'm looking for at the top of the draft, but we'll see how it breaks down. We have so much time.
Maybe this won't even be a problem for the Flyers because maybe Brady Martin's stock will go so high that he won't even be available at 6.
You know, maybe the Islanders go, Lou, thank you for fixing the lottery for us. Thank you for designing our new arena. You're staying.
I mean,
and he takes Brady Martin.
It wouldn't blow me away if, like, Utah decides we got our skill guys. We need that glue, second, third line physical dude behind the guys who will drive the offense. I could see that.
Would that not just be Porter Martone?
Yeah, but Martin is more physical than Martone. Martone is bigger than Martin, but he doesn't play with the same mean streak that Martin does.
I did see someone be like, yeah, Martone is big and he can play physically, but it might be not apples to apples, but a little more JVR. Where it's,
I think that's going a little too far.
But more just uses body advantage for body positioning rather than to run someone through the boards and then, you know, wrap the puck around himself. Like, kind of just, all right, I'm going to win this battle in front and then I'm going to be able to use my great hands.
I've seen Martone play with physicality. I don't think it is at the forefront of his mind the way it is with Brady Martin.
We'll see about Brady Martin. We'll get to him maybe sometime next week. Today, we are talking Anton Frondell. And like I said yesterday, he turned 18 years old. So happy belated to Anton. He is a 6 foot, nearly 200-pound left-handed center from Trängsund, Sweden. This is the craziest part. This is when I saw this when I was like, he's my guy right here. 25 points in 29 games in Sweden's second-tier league. How do you say it, Charlie?
The Allsvenskan?
Allsvenskan.
Yes.
It's the best point-per-game season for a U18 player ever in that league. It's really good.
Yeah.
And there's some names on here like Philip Forsberg and Oliver Ekman-Larsson and David Pastrnak and William Nylander. And Frondell is ahead of all of them in terms of at least points per game. That's freaking insane, Charlie. Now, like, listen, leagues change, scoring rates change, and things year to year.
So wait, so when is this since? Because I'm curious why Elias Pettersson didn't pop up on this. Because Pettersson in his draft year had 41 points in 43 games in the Allsvenskan. Is it because
perhaps he was already 18 years old?
Maybe. But the comparison I've thought in my head is Pettersson, because Pettersson also tore up the Allsvenskan in a larger sample size, but he also was similarly near point per game. I'm just curious why, because I don't doubt that you did this, like, you know, just doing a search on elite prospects. I just don't know why he didn't come up.
My guess is he was already 18. Or turned 18, because it's the it's U18 stats. Frondell turned 18 yesterday. He played the whole season at 17.
That's probably why.
So that's my guess.
I more pay attention to draft year, but fair.
Yeah. This is what someone said, and I thought it was impressive.
Yeah, I'm not
Charlie,
crapping on you.
You know how I use stats.
I know. I
use stats to manipulate them to my narrative. I don't use them to present facts. I use them to prove my point. All right. So that's, regardless, it's a pretty freaking good list to be on.
It is, to be sure. The guys he has a higher point per game rate in the Allsvenskan as an under 18 are, generally speaking, very good players.
The best players in the league.
They're very
Nylander,
good. Very good.
Nylander, Pastrnak. We're talking about superstars. Now, the consensus about Frondell right now, coming out of the U18 worlds, was that he played a physical but unspectacular, perhaps even unimpressive game. But we talked Tuesday, like, there might be just reasons for that. Because you watch his scouting reports, you watch his highlights, and the dude is he looks like a freaking machine out there, just in terms of creating scoring chances for himself and wiring pucks into the net, faking the one-timer, sending it back across. Just looks great. And then it was like, yeah, he just kind of played like a simple game at the U18s.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear. And again, I haven't watched the U18s. I'd like to at some point over the next month. We do have to remember, we do have a month and a half until the draft. There will be lots of time to watch more tape.
I'll come up with something.
But I have not watched the under 18s yet. My understanding is that he was just okay. I do suspect that the crazy travel schedule played a role in that. He jumped in mid tournament, so it's not like he had all the time to. He basically just was like plopped into a game. Like, all right, here you go. You're real good. You'll figure it out. And it's not like he was bad. He just wasn't, drop dead amazing. And guys like Brady Martin, were the guys who got the hype out of under 18s rather than Frondell. I'm still on the fence about Frondell. There are a lot of things I like about him. There are some things that I don't like about him. I really want to watch a lot more tape on him over the next month or so because I've yet to decide. Like, he deserves to be in this tier. His numbers are very good and he has a lot of strengths. He just has some things that worry me. Number one, I don't love his decision-making passing. It's really good around the net and below the goal line. It's not great everywhere else.
And he's a center.
So you would think like that's important. He's not great in transition. He's not like, I talked yesterday about how Hagens, like I like the idea of him being the guy who drives the puck through the middle of the ice because I don't know if Michkov is ever going to be that. I don't know if Frondell's ever going to be that either. I don't know if he's ever going to be a big transition guy. He's a fine skater. He's not a great skater, but he's fine. But we're not talking about like this is a strength of his game. He's good enough. I also worry, I think he has the hockey IQ to be a center, but it's tougher to project because he spent most of the year in the ALLCITY playing wing. Now, he tends to play center in international play, and the assumption, especially by the people who like him a lot, is that he will be a center at the NHL level, but he played wing basically all year in the ALLCITY, so it makes him a little bit harder to project because when you watch him play, you're like, okay, well, I'm projecting what he would do at center, but he's not playing center.
And that's, I think, the one thing, and it's a small, stupid thing, because again, accumulate talent and figure it out from there. But a lot of the plays that really impressed me were him stepping off the boards, naturally carrying the puck to the middle of the ice.
Yeah. Which he's very good at.
He's really good at that.
He really does own the high danger areas, which is one thing I love about him.
And a lot of it is coming off the right wing wall, like the guy we want to pair him with. And listen, oh man, we have too many good players. How horrible! We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think that might have been the one thing. I don't know, is he too much like Mish? But
I don't think he's too much like Mish. But I do worry a little bit. If the Flyers pass on Frondell this draft and Danny comes up and he's like, yeah, the reason why we passed on it is because we evaluate him more as a winger. I would be like, that makes sense. Now, I don't think you're 100% right, 100% wrong. These are all opinions. But I could see you watching Anton Frondell and being like, yeah, I think his game translates best to wing. I don't think he's a center. That worries me a bit. Now, I think he could be a center, but it just adds to the uncertainty of the projection that it's not like Desnoyers, who he's a center. He's played center. He's a center. Everyone believes he's a center. Even Hagens, there are some people who don't believe he's a center, but that's mostly because they just don't think anybody. They don't think anybody who's below 6 foot should ever play center above juniors. They just it's a personal statement of belief of the way hockey should be played. I think Frondell is a little bit more you could watch him and be like, maybe he's a wing.
I really like this guy. He is the early leader in the clubhouse for Bill's guy going into this draft.
So I want to talk about the strengths because there are a lot. I spent a little bit talking about the weaknesses, or at least my questions. He has a lot of strengths that make him a very, very exciting player.
I want to start with the skating because, yesterday we talked about Hagens, and it's the agility, elusiveness,
the edges.
Obviously, Frondell doesn't have that. And he's a bigger guy, 6 foot, 196, and he just turned 18.
Yeah,
you got to believe
he's built.
You got to believe he's going to play at 210 in the NHL.
He doesn't look like Hagens looks slight. Frondell does not look slight.
Frondell does not look slight. I liked seeing while, yeah, he's not explosive. I wouldn't say he wins. He's going to beat you off the line.
No, he's not.
But when he gets going, I saw him win a ton of races.
Yeah, true.
Like, I saw him win plenty of races, and when 50-50 battles happened, he was strong enough to win a lot of them. I like the combination of, he has enough speed. I wouldn't say he's like a great skater, but he can get it going. And the strength, he's a freaking man, and he's going to get so much stronger.
He has a physical game, and I'm not just talking about like, well, he's good in the corners. Like, he throws hits. He plays some highlight hits. He plays an aggressive style, and I think that's part of why he's so good around the net and below the goal line, because the players that go against him know that, like, yeah, he'll dish out some punishment. And the impressive part about that is that, like, this isn't him doing this in junior hockey. The Allsvenskan, yes, the Allsvenskan is in the SHL, but it's a pro league. There's a lot of men in that league, and Frondell would just go right up to them and knock them on their butt. Like, he has no qualms about doing that. That's exciting. And then there's the shot. He is a really, really good shooter.
The shot, Charlie. I mean, and it's funny because, like, I have this one maniac who DMs me all the time, and he's just always yelling that they need a big physical sniper center.
I mean, he's not huge, but like he's big-ish.
Yes, he's big-ish. He's physical. He's a center, maybe. And he is a freaking sniper. And
he's got a great shot.
It's the most mature part of his game.
Yes.
Because you see a lot of it, and it's like, all right, he's got the big one-timer, and then they show everything off of that. Like, puck not in his wheelhouse, he still fakes it, and then just moves the angle a little, wrist shot that just freaking pops the water bottle.
Yeah.
Or, oh, it's not there, sends it back, and now the other dude is a one-timer wide open. Like, he is a mature scoring chance creator with an awesome shot in my mind.
Frondell strikes me like, the thing with Frondell is that even though I'm not sure he's my preferred pick for that spot, like, if you draft Frondell, you are getting a really good player.
Yes.
I think his floor is very high because, number one, I love the fact that he's produced very, very well in a men's professional league. That really does cut down on the amount you have to project in terms of, like, is he going to be good? Yeah. Guys who score nearly point per game pace in a men's league under 18, yeah, they're going to be real good.
17 years old.
Yes, they're going to be real good. He's got the shot. He's got the physicality. Maybe you worry a little bit about, like, well, is he going to be able to play that style in the NHL? But I worry less because he's doing it against men now. Like, to me, the worst case scenario for Frondell, for me, is really good point-producing winger. Like, guy who you want on your team, and he is going to be physical, and he's going to play a tough game. He's going to get to the dirty areas. He's going to score a lot of points as a winger. That's like worst case scenario, and that's a pretty darn good worst case scenario. Now, best case scenario is the passing stops being as inconsistent and becomes like legitimately plus, and he doesn't deal with injuries as a pro, and he's a center. And then boom, you're talking about a guy who's a clear-cut top six center, if not 1C. That's very exciting. So I like Frondell a lot. I do have some concerns because some of the things I look for in players, especially this high in the draft, I'm not 100% convinced he has. But the things he has are really impressive.
It's the scoring, all of that. Like, it just looks like it's going to translate. And another thing I saw was puck control. There's just a couple of plays where he's got the puck down low, kind of takes a hit, reverses it, controls it, and brings it the other way. Like, he can, I don't know if he's got the small space, like, escapability in hands to be the entry driver the way we talked about Hagens doing with michkov. But he has plenty of skill when it comes to puck handling and controlling the puck down low.
He is so good down low.
He and Michkov down low is really something to dream on. Just like what they could do controlling the puck, playing a two-man game, the give and go, all of that. Like, if he doesn't have that IQ, I would say, like, again, well, we do have the supercomputer. Let him do your thinking, and you put that puck in the net.
I think Frondell, while I don't think he'll be a bad rush player. I think he's the kind of guy that really beefs up, and that is pun intended, but like he beefs up your cycle game. And the Flyers cycle game is not very good right now.
No,
it is not. So that would be like, there are a lot of things about Frondell that I like. You mentioned about how good he is down low. One thing he loves to do, which Flyers fans will very much appreciate, he loves the possessing the puck and still throwing a hit. He loves the reverse hit, where like he's got the puck down low and then he just like throws his shoulder out or throws his butt out and knocks someone on their butt while he has the puck.
I am a big fan of the reverse hit.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure it shouldn't be called interference every time.
It's fair.
But I mean, that's just from a rules perspective.
Yeah. They let it go. They do let it go.
I love seeing it. Like I think it's cool and all. I just don't know if it actually should be legal. But he does it, and he does it very well. All right. Before we go any further, let's take another quick break. Got to tell you about something really cool going on right here at PHLY. PHLY is going to be hosting a special NFL schedule release bonus show presented by our friends at Philly Sports Trips. That's right, Philly Sports Trips, who sent us on that awesome trip to Montreal. We had a great time. They always put on an awesome event. Well, they're doing it again here, and it's for a special NFL schedule release bonus show here at PHLY, presented by Philly Sports Trips. It's going to be on Wednesday, May 14th, with coverage kicking off at 7:30 p.m. to discuss the 2025-26 NFL season schedule. So tune in to see the PHLY team react to the matchups coming down the pike for our reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Again, the NFL schedule bonus show will be held on Wednesday, May 14th, beginning at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So follow us right here and hit that freaking like button. Get us to 200 likes while we're at it. That is not part of the ad. That's just something I am throwing in.
Do it.
As I have, where the hell did it go? There we go. All right.
Heyo.
It was having a little trouble loading, but it's back now. And it's on. It's on at Ashley Furniture. You have to shop the Memorial Day sale at Ashley now. You can save $100 off every $1,000 you spend, plus get amazing savings on outdoor furniture. But that's not all. You can get 60 months special financing and have your furniture delivered locally for free. Plus, with your qualified purchase, you can get a free gift, save on top brand mattresses, and get free local delivery setup and removal. That's the best part, man. They bring it to you, they put it together, and they take away your old stuff for free. So you have to go to Ashley, South Jersey, and Philadelphia right now and visit ashleyfurniture.com for more information. Financing with approved credit, minimum purchase required. Some exclusions may apply. See store for details. Yeah, we're at 113 likes.
Yeah, let's get to 200.
That is unacceptable.
Let's get to 200.
Unacceptable.
Come on,
a
gang.
show about the sixth pick here with only 15 minutes left in the show. No, you got to get us to 200. This is, I'm disappointed in all of us, quite honestly. All right. Is there anything really else we need to discuss with Frondell?
I mean, we could talk Frondell for 3 episodes. He's a really interesting player. If you have a chance, watch some tape. He's a fun player to watch, to be sure. The scuttlebutt right now does seem to be that, like, Chicago could really like him, which is interesting to me. So it seems like right now, at least, if you're talking about, like, reading between the lines of what the plugged-in people are saying, I'm not sure he's going to be there at 6 for the Flyers. But if he is, I would be fine with the pick. I think it's a perfectly fine pick. And again, I may have some mild concerns as to whether he sticks down the middle or whether he's best served being at wing is probably the better way to put it. I'm sure he could play center. Now, he just might be a better winger than a center just because of his style. But if he's the Flyers pick at 6, like, good pick. I'm fine with that.
I like Chicago leaning into the bit of taking a bunch of centers who don't end up playing center. I think that's fun for them. Anyway, just a couple of other things before we hit the super chats. The Ducks have hired Coach Q. Quenneville.
Well, he's not going to be a Flyers coach. So.
Yeah, well, you
can scratch that name off the list.
We've avoided that whole situation. Obviously, he's had a ton of success as a head coach. Little surprising that, I guess he was always going to get another job. It just seems a little surprising coming off of, like, putting him with this young team, pairing him up like that. But that said, I mentioned earlier, young teams don't win. And I think the one sort of exception, like recently, is that Chicago team.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
That
was what I was going to say.
They went from missing the playoffs to a conference final in 2009 to winning the cup in 2010. And, they drafted first overall in 2007.
Yes.
So it was a pretty quick turnaround, much quicker than usual. And yeah, I mean, that's an all-time freaking team. They won 3 cups, so it's not crazy shocking. But you got to say, I guess he had something to do with that.
Yeah, I think, Joel Quenneville is objectively a very good NHL coach. I don't think anyone would debate that. He's very good at what he does. We saw what he did in Florida. We obviously saw what he did in Chicago. He's a very good coach. Obviously, the big thing here is Anaheim, and they're going to say they did all their research. I'm sure they're going to leak it through all of the insiders and whatever. Really, what this boils down to at its core, because I said on the show a few weeks ago, I'm like, look, I am 100% confident that if, and I certainly hope this never happens, but if a similar situation were to ever arise again with Joel Quenneville as head coach, he would handle it better. But the real question is whether you are okay with someone who screwed up as badly as he did for what ultimately was a very selfish reason, which is I care more about winning than the livelihood and benefit, like basically than the safety of one of my players, even if it wasn't one of his full-time players. It was a player under his care. Do you believe that coach should essentially be removed? Like, has that coach forfeited the right to coach ever again in the top of hockey by making a mistake of that magnitude? The Ducks have made the decision that they care more about winning and getting a guy who they believe is a great coach, and I agree, he is a great coach, than making a point that, like, we don't think this person has the right to coach in this league ever again. That's what it really boils down to. And that's a question that you have to answer for yourself personally, whether you believe that is right or not.
Do you think, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I just have to, this is what, when I see, like, he had those 2 interviews and now he's their coach, do you think it's a coincidence that it's not exactly a major sports media market?
No, I do not think it's a coincidence. I think that absolutely played into the thought process for Anaheim, in that this is something, because they don't have as big of a fan base and they're not in the kind of, like, not to say LA isn't a big market, it is. I mean, Anaheim is very much part of the LA market.
They're a suburb.
Hockey's an afterthought there.
Yes.
It just is. And the Ducks, especially right now, are an afterthought to the Kings, who are already an afterthought to everything else.
Yes.
It's definitely something that, like, the Anaheim front office and ownership probably feels like they can, sort of...
We can weather this storm.
Yeah, there will be backlash, to be sure. There will be some people who will be horrified by this, but it's not going to be a national story forever in the same way it would be if, like, a Canadian team or like Vancouver or Toronto hired him, where it'd be like, okay, this is going to be covered by TSN every single day and there's going to be think pieces written every day. There will be some blowback, to be sure, but I do believe it plays into their calculation that, like, yeah, we're not going to lose that many fans over
And
this.
like,
now, again, that's not like a great thing, but like, front offices make decisions like that. They do.
It's a business, and that's the, like, if the Rangers do it, everyone knows the name of the Rangers owner. Like, who owned the Chiefs?
Who owned
the Ducks? Like, who cares? It's not Disney anymore. That's all I know.
Yeah, no, it's the Samuelis, I believe, okay. And they have done a lot to grow the game in that area, so they probably have generated a lot of goodwill with the people and the fans, that the fans might therefore be more willing to swallow this.
All right.
And a lot of people just aren't going to care. Like, I think that's something you also have to acknowledge, is there are a lot of people who are just going to be like, yeah, whatever, he's a great coach, I want my team to win.
That absolutely plays into it as well. All right, speaking of coaches, you got to check out our interview. It's going to go live, I think, at 4:00 today, right here on the PHLY YouTube. It's me and Maddie Campbell talking about our Lehigh Valley Phantoms, who are up 2-1 in the best of 5 on the Hershey Bears. Yeah, follow us right here. Make sure you set that reminder bell so you see it when it does go live. It was really good. Another solid performance for our AHL correspondent, Maddie Campbell, talking about the Phantoms and this second round series with the Bears. But Charlie, this is what I have to ask.
Okay, before we go into this, I do want to say one more thing about Quenneville, and I don't want this to be taken as me defending Joel Quenneville, but I see a lot of people in our chat being like, "Oh, this is great. Like Cutter Goje is going to have to deal with Quenneville." Like, I know that the situation has people maybe thinking in their heads like Quenneville is this like old school, tough as nails, going to make everybody's life miserable. Quenneville's a player's coach.
Yeah.
Quenneville is a coach who lets guys play a skilled game. Like, to me, like the worst part about this is like, I think this is going to work for Anaheim. I do. I think they have a lot of skilled guys that are going to really play well under Quenneville, who is well known to be a coach that like the players love to play for. This is not them hiring torts. No, it's not.
No, I know, because we kind of see him as old. We just assume all old guys the same.
Yeah, he's not.
He's not that kind of coach. He's more... Yeah, I think
remember those Florida teams? You know, the one that oh God, I'm blanking on his name. Brunette took over for. Yeah. Like, they were as high flying as possible. This is not going to be like, yeah, we're going to play dump and chase and be physical and scratch all of our young players. Like, Quenneville's going to let that team fly. Yes. And like, it's a good hockey fit. It just comes down to the moral aspect.
Sure. All right. Like I was saying, Phantoms up 2-1 in their best of 5 with the Hershey Bears. They can close it out Friday at home. Game 5, if necessary, will be back in Hershey on Sunday. Charlie, is there anything Ian LaPerriere could do in the AHL that would improve your opinion of him as a head coach candidate?
I'm not going to say there's nothing.
Like, if they win the Calder Cup.
I'm not going to say there's nothing.
And there's a long way to go between here and there.
But it would take a lot, because I don't think, and I think probably higher of his developmental abilities than I think most people online do, but I don't think terribly highly of his tactical acumen. And to me, if they were to go on a run, I would think it's more because of the players that have been at it, not because like he's miraculously become like an X's and O's genius.
I will say, again, like, I have zero interest in Ian LaPerriere as the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. I will say, I think, and this is, again, maybe more developmental and the things he's good at, communicating, creating a culture, etc., than it is like, all right, this is how we're going to play and this is how we're going to beat them. Like, I don't think it's that. But I think it's a special challenge to incorporate and integrate Grabenkin and Bump and Luchenko and Emil Andre back and forth all year. These things happening and then getting it all to come together at the right time. I think that is that's a special kind of challenge that maybe some coaches could screw up. Yeah. And it seems to be going pretty well. Now they still have to close out the Bears. And then they still have to win like 2 or 3 more rounds because the AHL playoffs are forever. But I'm interested to see how they do, because I do think this is the first time the Phantoms have the right mix of young prospects who might be somewhat at least impactful players in the NHL, as well as the professional AHLers that you need to keep up with teams like the Hershey Bears. Like, I think they have the right mix of that they, for the first time, have what it takes to actually compete in this situation. And hey, if they beat the Bears, like,
it's impressive.
It's pretty impressive.
I would say that the best case scenario for me in a world where Ian LaPerriere does get hired as Flyers head coach, and I don't think it's going to happen. This is more just you trolling people who watch our show. Yeah. But the best case scenario for me would be LaPerriere is head coach, vibes in chief, and Bradshaw runs everything. Like, he designs the system, he does all the teaching, and Lappy is just like the good guy who everybody likes.
It's working for the Eagles, Charlie. I'm just saying. I don't know. Best team in town. Maybe take a
I'm just saying,
page out of their book. Like, if our offensive defensive coordinator do everything, and this guy and Big Dom are just kind of like making sure everyone's happy. Yeah. It's working for them. All right, let's hit the super chats. A few today. Lead it off with our pal Linden49. Brady Martin or Caleb Desnoyers will be a Flyer.
I think Caleb Desnoyers has a better chance of being a Flyer than Brady Martin. But the more that he pops up in these mock drafts, you have to take it seriously as a possibility. I almost wonder if some of this, though, is everybody knows that Brady Martin's stock is up Like Brady Martin before the under 18 worlds was like viewed as like a guy who's going to be taken in like the 10 to 14 range. And everybody knows his stock is up. Everybody's talking about him. There's a lot of chatter about how exciting he is. And the people who make mock drafts are like, well, I have to reflect that in some way. So I'll just mock him to the Flyers because they're the Flyers.
Yes, and again, like it's just like dots connected themselves.
I do wonder if that's what it more is, rather than like I have inside information that the Flyers love Brady Martin.
All right, and before we go any further, I just want to say, if you're watching on TV, you got to head to allphly.com because we're going to overtime.
This is a perfect question for overtime.
All right, and here we are, and it's from JH.
Much better this one's in overtime.
Does the ball deodorant work on Empire carpet too? You know, there's a lot of ways we could take that. I would just say it says it's a true full-body deodorant, and you got to check it out. Mando.com. M-A-N-D-O.
Yeah, I'm just going to let that one go.
All right. From Purple Crayon. What's up? Purple Crayon has been...
I've heard we have children that listen to this show on occasion.
You know,
in the car,
you'll
car rides to school. The dad or the mom's listening to the show, and the kids are in the back seat. So there's lines that I'm not quite ready to cross.
The kids will one day go through puberty and realize that smelling good is very important too.
Exactly.
All right, Purple Crayon. We've been hearing a lot from Purple Crayon. I love it. I like when new people join the regular super chat list.
Purple Crayon's becoming a regular.
Man, I hope there's a 6'5" center with 1C upside available at 6.
I respect nothing more than a full-fledged commitment to a bit. And Harold, the Purple Crayon guy, is very much committing to Roger McQueen over everyone. And I like it.
When do we do it? Maybe we do McQueen Monday.
McQueen Monday.
McQueen Monday. Yeah, let's do it. We're going to watch Bullet, and then we're going to talk... Different McQueen, apparently.
Yes.
All right. From Devin93, Braden Coots is not a real person. That's fake.
Braden Coots is real. I've watched him on video.
That is very much like year 6 of your NHL franchise, and now it's made up names. Yep. Like that is very much a made up hockey name.
And one thing I will say about one Braden Coots, for all the talk and all of the chatter about how well Brady Martin played in the under 18s and how he improved his stock and he's so great. Brady Martin, in fact, did not lead Team Canada in points at the under 18s. Guess who did? One Braden Coots.
Braden Coots.
Just saying. He's a center too. Just saying.
Almost want him just for the Jim Jackson can never call Couturier Coots.
It would be funny.
We need a new nickname for the longest tenured athlete in the city because we have a guy whose actual name that is. I think that would be fun. All right, and to wrap it up from Marco Belcher 5-hole, looks like I'm getting thrown out of the Ducks game.
Oh yeah, because Marco, he's in that area, right?
Yes. Oh, that's fun. And I think we might have some. We might be doing the Ducks thing again next year. So we'll see when the NHL.
Oh, you mean like the
one in Philly
takeover when Cutter comes back for his second time?
Might be doing that again next year.
I mean, first one was great.
All right, and one more just comes in from JH. F them kids. That's good, JH.
Yeah. Let's bring the cursing back and just lean fully into this being an over 16, over 13 show.
The TV mature.
Yeah, mature. Yes.
All right.
Exactly.
All right, and that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers today. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on the YouTube and set that reminder bell so you never miss a live show. Back tomorrow at noon. And hit that like button. 151, not nearly enough for what we did today. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. We are also on Blue Sky. Search us there. And search the podcast wherever you get those. Just use PHLY Flyers. All right. I'm Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. Till tomorrow, let's go Phantoms.
All city like the mayor.